to introduce our humorous winner, former Englishman Phil Nathan. And Phil Nathan admits he's not a good listener. One of the reasons is because he loves to talk. He knows this is the case, has been the case for some time, but it really didn't register until he joined OC Toasters. He thought it was going to be fun to speak, but he did not realize this. When you speak, someone has to listen. So Phil's speech today is, listening is hard work.
Do you hear me?
What?
Yes. Good. We've all heard speakers ask this question at the beginning of the speech. But as your speaker this morning, my question is, do you listen to me? There is an awareness of what we hear, and we call it listening. And today I'm going to talk about the difference between hearing and listening. Let me give you an example of the difference. What a woman says, come on, this place is a mess. You and I need to clean. Your pants are on the floor, and you'll have no clothes if we don't do laundry now. What the man hears. Come on, blah, blah, blah. You and I, blah, blah, blah. On the floor, blah, blah, blah. No clothes, blah, blah, blah. Now! So you see that there's a difference. Well, good morning, fellow OC Toasters, and welcome guests. As Toastmasters, we are all concerned about speaking, learning to speak, and delivering our speeches. That's why most of us join Toastmasters. But in reality, we don't speak formally at every meeting, but we are expected to listen. The question is, do we? I recently had an epiphany. It happened last week when inadvertently I ended up as both an evaluator and grammarian. Something you really shouldn't do, and I found out why, besides, of course, not giving a non-participant a chance to participate. Real listening requires energy and effort. I know, I'll get arguments from some. I know it takes a lot of creativity, concentration, commitment, and courage to write and deliver a good speech. But how often do we actually have to give speeches or presentations? Yet every day, whether we're at home or at work or at any meetings, we're expected to listen. Now, I'm not suggesting we don't hear what others say. I am suggesting that we don't actually listen. Hearing is a physical auditory reaction. We receive physical vibrations in the air that go into our eardrum, and through some physiological magic end up that we hear something. However, there's no thought, no concentration, a no-brainer, so to speak. To establish a basis for comparing listening and hearing, let's start out with some dictionary definitions of listening. As a verb, to make an effort to hear something, to pay attention. As a noun, the act of hearing attentively. Notice the words? Effort, pay attention, attentively. If listening were simply hearing, why wouldn't all the definition folks just say listening is a synonym for hearing? Hearing is passive. To listen requires active effort. Folks, it takes work to listen. Back to last week's meeting. I had two roles, and I had to concentrate my listening. I was exhausted at the end of the meeting. First, I had to listen to every utterance, every sentence of every speaker. Then I had to see if the words sounded correct to me, and if they didn't sound right, I had to think what was incorrect, and if so, what would have been better, and write it down. Okay, that was bad enough. It kept me on my toes during the entire meeting. Then I was an evaluator. Now I had not only to listen for grammar, I had to listen and understand the contents and structure of the speech. Did the opening get my attention? Was it a good lead into the body of the speech? I'm tired, and the speech is just beginning. It happened to be a good speech. I honestly just wanted to listen and enjoy it, but no. Now the speaker started on the body and made her points. Better make sure I get each point. Then if she expounded on a point, I can relax a little and just try to filter anything that sounds unharmonious to my ear. Yes, I said unharmonious. Definition: not having component elements pleasingly and appropriately combined. That's not the word for the day, but it'll do. Okay, got all their points. Very interesting. I learned something from this speech. Have to write it down so I don't forget it. Oops, I think she's going into the summary. Click on to listen. Since the speaker had good structure, I could follow without any difficulty. I could concentrate on how she summed up. Now for the close. Click. Back on. She did it again. She made it easy for me by giving me an apt and easy to remember quotation, summarizing her premise concisely and accurately. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now back to the single task of grammarian. It's all coasting downhill from here. Being an evaluator, grammarian, or general evaluator, I believe is the most difficult task required of us. It requires listening, not just hearing. Listening is very, very hard work. Now let's see if you have listened to my speech. Can anyone cite one grammatical error I made repeatedly throughout my speech?
No, it's Steve.
Alas, but I'm running out of time. Timer's showing me. So I'll take your answers offline. Thank you.